Hello students. Now that CAT is done, most students who have appeared for CAT would be looking for various options, like what is a good score, will they get a seat, should they look for other entrance exams, so many questions, and today to answer all this, we have with us Mr. Arks Srinivas, who's an educationist, career coach, student mentor, success strategist, business and management consultant. He comes with more than 25 years of experience and has empowered thousands of students to achieve their MBA dreams. He, as an experienced CEO, he has an extensive background in the education management industry and has consistently demonstrated excellence in coaching, business transformation, market research, and management. He's an alumnus of the IIM Kolkata and has an MBA with a specialization in marketing and systems. Welcome on board, Mr. Srinivas. My
Thank you.
first
Thank you so much, Ms. Prabha.
My first question is, what would be a good CAT score? Because many of them, we all know it is on percentile, but a lot of students also look for, CAT marks, I got this much and all that. Can you give a little bit of insight on how this works?
Okay. So very good question in terms of starting off the program itself. When somebody says good CAT score, they are obviously expecting that they will get a good institute. Now, when you talk about a good institute, it could be the IIMs, the IITS itself. There are institutes under which take the CAT as a written test, like SPJ IMR in Mumbai or MDI in Gurgaon, or IIFT itself takes the scores, or FMS in Delhi, which is again a very, probably the top 4, top 5 institute in the country. All of these also take the CAT scores. So there is nothing like a one good score. It will be always that, okay, a good score for a particular type of institute or a level of institutes. What IIMs look at, what all the other institutes also look at, is not necessarily the score, but the percentile that student gets. And every cutoff is based on this kind of a percentile. I'll give you a very simple idea. There are 21 IIMs now. Of these 21 IIMs, I would say if you look at the top 6 or top 7, considering IIM Mumbai also now, which was NITI previously, the other 14, 15 institutes or 13, 14 institutes will call a student at around 93, 94 percentile only. And to get a 93, 94 percentile in this particular year's CAT exam, I would say anybody getting around 60 plus marks, 60. Of course, please also remember that there are 3 different slots, slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. And by and large, I think slot 3 was a little more easier than slot 1, and slot 1 was a little more easier than slot 2, if I look at the overall numbers. So given all these things, I think anybody after coming out of the exam and sees their scores and gets around 60 plus can be considered as a very decent score, and they will get a very good institute in the general category I'm talking about, and probably even get a call from an IIM.
So my next question again, IIM admissions, because a lot of people actually have this doubt. So there will always be a difference between the older IIMs and the newer ones, because the older ones are very established and they are the dream colleges for many people to go into. So
Absolutely
what
correct.
would a CAT score for older IIMs and newer ones?
So once again, it's a very good question. But when you talk about the older IIMs, whether it's IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, my alma mater, IIM Bangalore, IIM Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode, even Mumbai, I would say, because it's actually a new IIM, but it is a very old institute under what it used to be called the NITI in Mumbai. Now, all of these institutes have a CAT cutoff, but also minimum marks they require in their 10th, 12th, and degree also. They also require, some of them, or they give you weightage if you have work experience. So when I really look at all these things, it is again not one individual percentile or a score that will be good enough for all the 6 or 7 institutes. But since you have asked me this question, Let me answer this in a very interesting manner. The highest percentile one requires if you are a fresher and you are an engineer and a fresher and you are applying to, let's say, my alma mater, IIM Calcutta, your percentile requirement will be as high as 99.8 percentile, which means the score required for this CAT paper would be as high as maybe 110, 112 marks. Similarly, if you look at IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, and even IIM Lucknow, all these institutes, I think if a student who is a fresher, a male fresher, again I'm using this very importantly because women get, and rightly so, I would say diversity is important. Women get a better weightage. But if you're looking at an engineer male fresher, the scores they will require will be probably upwards of 103, 104 marks, which will be 99.5, 99.6 percentile. For a woman, the same score will be in the 98, 98, 99 mark range. For the newer IIMs, again, I am talking about engineers. Now, let me complicate matters further. If the student is not an engineer, but let's say a BA, BCom, BSc student, the scores required will be lesser. And if the person is a BA in, let's say, psychology or a BA in, let's say, design, it could be fashion designing, for example. I'm just giving you an example. And IIM Ahmedabad can take a girl even at 90 score or even an 85 score with a 95 percentile kind of things. So I don't know whether I have complicated matters or I have explained this. One has to understand that there is no one particular score. An admission to an IIM or any of the top schools is contingent upon various parameters, academic parameters, work experience parameters, CAT score, of course, and when you're talking about graduation, which graduation one has done also makes a difference. And lastly, the gender diversity also. So all these put together, anywhere between 70 marks to up to 65 marks, up to 110 marks, people can get calls from the older IIMs. I'm assuming that you're asking about the older IIMs. So depending on these kind of background, anywhere between about 60, 65 marks to 110 marks. Of course, over that, everybody will get everything, is what I would say the good score required. Before you go, ask me one more question. One important thing for all the students who hopefully will listen to this to understand that at every score that one has got and has certain background, there is a chance that they can get into one good institute or the other, which is like a very, very good thing, which is what they'll look at it.
Yeah, we'll be delving more into that because MBA or PGDM or the management admissions is just not restricted to IIMs. We have a lot of good institutes also. Yeah, so we'll be moving on. So again, the next thing is a lot of people don't really consider, but the IITs are also very good management institutes. They've got departments.
Absolutely.
So my question is, what would again the CAT score be for this? What are the admission chances here?
Okay, so once again, when you talk about the IITs, there are multiple IITs. IIT Bombay, which is the Sailesh J. Mehta School of Management, is considered number one within the IITs, and of course, it's also in the top 10 in the country itself. Then there is Vinod Gupta School of Management in IIT Kharagpur. There is IIT Delhi, the Department of Management Sciences. There is IIT Kanpur, which is again a Department of Management Sciences. There is IIT Madras, which is very good. And there is an IIT Roorkee, IISM Dhanbad, which is now IIT Dhanbad. And I think newer institutes, IIT Mandi also has a MBA division. IIT Hyderabad has an entrepreneurship division. I don't know whether they're taking through CAT or not. So there is again a multiple things. Now, when I come back to the IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, mostly one student will require more than 96, 97 percentile to get into that. What is 96, 97 percentile? Around 70 plus marks in the CAT 2024 that I'm talking about. 70 plus mark is a safe score. Similarly, when it comes to, let's say, IIT Madras, IIT Kanpur, IIT Roorkee, they will take about 90, 92 percentile, which means a score about 57, 58, or even 60 marks would be considered very, very safe for them to get into these IITs. And the lower institutes will require slightly lower marks, maybe 50 marks, and they still get into an IIT. But I think a very good question, Prabhaji, that it is important for students to consider that it's not only the IIMs, but IITs also have very, very good management programs.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of choices. That's the aim of this session, actually, so that we put all kinds of choices for every kind of child, so that there is always an option for it. So
Absolutely correct.
yeah. So now I want to ask you another question. Which institutes would you consider on the level of these IIMs and IITs? And what would their admission chances be like for students? How much should they score?
Okay, so here also I would like to segregate them into three levels. The first level are the so-called old institutes, old IIMs, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode, and I will call it Mumbai also into that. So institutes which are very similar or equivalent to these institutes include FMS in Delhi, MDI in Gurgaon, SPJ IMR in Mumbai. These three and IIT Bombay also would probably be in the similar top 10 range kind of things. Then you look at institutes like IIM Ranchi, IIM Raipur, IIM Udaipur, IIM Trichy, IIM Kashipur. These are five, six institutes which are again pretty good institutes which have come in the second leg. I think between 2009 and 2010, all these things have started. When you talk about these institutes, you can add IIT Delhi to it. You can add IIT Kharagpur to it, IIT Madras to it, IIT Kanpur to it, along with institutes like IMT Ghaziabad, IMI Delhi, you have TAPME, those things will be again coming into the range kind of things. I forget very good institutes which have different exams. I'm sure we will talk about that. One is NMIMS, Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, through an exam called NMAT, which is based out of Mumbai. Of course, NMIMS is there in Bangalore also, Indore also, Hyderabad also, but I'm talking about the NMIMS Mumbai. Similarly, there is SIBM, Symbiosis Institute of Business Management in Pune, through an exam called SNAP, or the Symbiosis National Aptitude Test. So when I look at the top IIMs, second level IIMs, and the other IITs, NMIMS and Symbiosis also will come into that group. And the third group, when I look at it, are the baby IIMs, as everybody calls it in the parlance as such. This include some of the good ones within the baby also are like IIM Nagpur, IIM Visakhapatnam. But in addition to that, like IIM Sambalpur, IIM Bodh Gaya, IIM Jammu, IIM Amritsar, a couple other more institutes are there, which will come at the third level category. Institutes which are kind of similar to them include Goa Institute of Management, KJ Somaiya, Sydenham will be probably slightly better. I forgot one more important institute, Jamnalal Bajaj Institute, which will come in the second category or even the first category of the IIMs. There is Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute in Delhi, Ford School of Management in Delhi. All these things will be kind of coming into one group of institutes.
Yeah. So actually, I always believe that one should plan, if you know where the chances are, Then you make a list and then apply everywhere where you get a chance so that you don't miss out. And that's exactly how it should be tackled, rather than, being lost. So again, one more question like that. So what should the choices of a student be when you have a CAT score of below 90 percentile? Say, let's consider 80 to 90 percentile. Because
Yeah, I understand. So, see, somebody has 80 to 90 percentile, or they think they will have 80 to 90 percentile. There are two ways of looking at it. As of today, the percentiles have not come in. The percentiles may come in the first week of January, at least according to IIM Calcutta, which is the coordinating institute this year. Last year, they have come in the end of December itself, by the way, and maybe we will get it December also. The IIMs will also release the uh, actual question paper along with students' marked answers and the correct answers. So everybody will get to know what is their scores in the next few days, maybe 4 or 5 days. We will be in a position, and I'm fairly certain that our predictions that we have made on Career 360 will be very closer to what the actual percentiles will be, give or take 2 3 marks. So once people understand what scores they have got, we can convert that into what percentile. So now I'm going to consider that, okay, somebody is thinking of getting 80 to 90 percentile according to the marks that they get. Predictions can go wrong, like the exit polls have gone wrong in both Maharashtra and Jharkhand, or previously in Haryana too. It's only an expectation because of various expertise. I mean, the pollsters can go wrong. Anybody can go wrong. Though more often than not, we don't completely go wrong because of our 20 years of experience. Having said that, there is a possibility. But when one has to make a decision based on this for a future, especially the next 2 years and the next 30, 40 years of their lives, here is what my expectation is. Make a list of colleges, like you said, ma'am, where you think you will be in the 80 to 90 percentile, and there are at least 30 40 colleges in that range. Also, what are the colleges you will get above 90, if you get above 90 percentile, and a few colleges above 80 percentile. So the way, if I were a student, what I would do, on as therefore as a teacher also, I would as an advisor also, I would say that in your expected percentile range, at least apply to at least 5 institutes. Apply to at least 3 institutes in that percentile range, which is above what you think. For example, you think you will get 80 to 90, but there will be institutes above 90 plus, which they will be. Apply to at least 2 or 3 of them, and apply to 1 or 2 of them, which will be below 80 percentile range, when which come under the below 80 percentile range. And why do I say this? If the predictions come true, you will get choice about 4 or 5 institutes, and you will get it. And the choice can be based on the location. The choice is based on the number of students that people take. The choice is based on the placements numbers that one puts in, etc., etc. But if the prediction is not correct, and if it is, you think you will get 80 to 90 and you actually got 94 95 percentile, you will be missing out on amazing institutes. So you'll always apply to 2 or 3 institutes higher than your percentile. The reverse can also happen. Your percentile is actually worse than what you predicted or what anybody else predicted. So you need to have a contingency plan or a backup plan, and have at least 2 institutes which you can apply to, so that you're covering your bases. At least by March, when you apply and get your final admissions, March April, you can then decide whether you want to join or not. But at least you will have a choice to make.
that's actually a very good idea. And I think for all admissions, this should be an ideal planning, because everyone should plan for it. Without that, it's very hard, just off the bat to just think. And then exactly. At this point of time, I also think I should advise all students that you should do a little bit of research of how each institute goes, what the placement is like, before you just go by the popularity, or because there are lots of factors that go into.
And what, if I may just add something to you, don't go only by what is there on each institute's information or their website. Also look at other institutes, look at comparison, look at maybe the alumni who has put the information on, let's say, a Facebook or an Instagram or any other places. I think it's always better to kind of do a little research. I think you hit the nail on the head. How much ever consultancy. I've been a trainer, teacher, consultant, and career counselor for the last 25 years. But at the same time, it is not that you have always been right. 9 times out of 10, you are right. But what if you are wrong that one time and that one student is get affected? And it's a very dangerous thing to happen for a student. And hence, we always say that you err on the right side. It's okay to err.
Yes, yes. And it's also advisable, because then you know that you have put in that effort to understand where you're going. Because that
Correct.
matters. Somebody saying something is different, but you doing it yourself makes you a better learner. Yes,
You will be surprised, Prabhaji, that people ask random people advice whether I should join or not join. I've seen Telegram groups and WhatsApp groups, people asking very, very random questions. Bhai, you can ask, but please do your own research too.
Because you're adults, you're stepping into a corporate world, you will be made to, lead teams someday, and you'll be in a very good position, hopefully.
Yeah, you're supposed to be managers.
Yes.
No, you're right. You're supposed to be managers tomorrow. You need to manage your own life, your own self, your own career. Absolutely.
Exactly. So now that variation varies of the choice of colleges when you get down to 80 and below. So again, how should the choice be? Because most of the colleges do not give the cutoff. So how do students decide where to apply and how to apply?
So, see, we have over the last 20 years, two and a half decades, we are very fairly clear. If you look at the top 120 colleges, see, there are 4,000 colleges or 4,500 colleges which are MBA colleges. But the ones which take CAT, that will about 300, 400 will be there. We have a fair idea about what are the top 150 colleges and their programs. And we also have a fair idea which college takes at what percentile and above, which college takes at what percentile and below, kind of things. And that is exactly the reason why I'm saying there are category of 95 plus, 90 plus, 85 plus, 80 plus, 70 plus, 60 plus, kind of things. What I would suggest to students is, whether on Careers 360 we have this information, and or such kind of things, institutes, coaching institutes also have these kind of categorization. Look at the categorization, not in only one single thing, maybe on two or three. Look at the commonality of it and follow the same procedure that I said. If you are thinking that you will get less than 70 or 60, apply to 3 or 4 colleges which will be giving you in that range. See, there is one important thing I would like to say. There are a couple of colleges traditionally have taken lesser percentile people, but have very good pedigree, very good background, and also give very good placements. When I'm using the word placements, you may not get into a Citibank or a PNG or a HLL, but they will ensure that, okay, tier 2, tier 3 companies, they get consistently, and almost everybody gets placed. So don't only go by reputation or hearsay. Look at actually the track record, and some of the track records at even at 65, 70 percentile colleges, which are not bad. If your expectation as a student is that at the end of 2 years, you are improving your current position. For example, today you are doing a job which gives you 4 to 6 lakhs. And if another institute over 2 years later can give you 8 to 10 lakhs, even forget about 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs, everybody talks about. Even if you're getting 3 to 5 lakhs and somebody can give you 7 to 9, or if you're getting 6 to 8 and somebody can give you 8 to 10, 2 years later, also an MBA degree, the platform or the forum on which you are standing after 2 years will go up. and from there your growth will be better off. And hence, you can consider those kind of institutes also.
That's a very good suggestion, frankly, because even if you continue with a job and you think 2 years, I will get just 2 lakhs, or it's not easy with all those things. But then it
Ma'am,
goes up
people
to
are
plus.
getting 4 lakhs right now.
Yeah.
Typically, they will next year get 4.5 lakhs, and after the 2
Ah,
years, they'll get 5 lakhs. But in 2 years, if somebody is able to get 6, 8 lakhs, I think it's a good jump. And more importantly, you're getting to the managerial position.
exactly.
You know,
You're getting an MBA degree, which is really valid compared to what you have today. So yes.
especially from the top 100 schools, 100 schools of management, I think it's very much valuable.
Yes. So now one question is like people go for attempts and attempts. Now, if you are below 60, below 50, is it advisable for reattempts, or what would you suggest in such a situation when somebody is not done well and thinks, okay, I should go for a reattempt? So what would your advice be in that situation?
There are 3 reasons why people get less percentile. And I'll be very honest. First percentile is you are not good enough. You're not good enough. How many ever times you write, you'll get 50, 60 percentile. For such kind of, now, that is a self-assessment matter. That's a serious self-assessment matter. One has to clearly realize because you know what the exam is. The exam has verbal ability and reading comprehension. The verbal has quantitative ability, that has data interpretation and logical reasoning. You have put in effort. You have greatly put in effort nicely, but you have reached only 50, 60, 70 percentile. I think, and neither your 10th nor 12th is something great to talk about that suddenly you will go to 99 percentile. You may not, but both the track record, your effort that you have made in, and yet the result is the same 60, 70 percentile. I would say, please don't waste your time more. Pick up a college which can kind of catapult you to the next level. That is the first thing. Then there are a second category of people who did not put in any effort to prepare for this exam. Students who are in the final year of engineering or final year of their degree, they would not have got enough time. They would not have got enough time to prepare. They would have exams. For example, all the engineering colleges have exams right now, November going on. IITs have going on, NITs, the exams are going on. So they would have lost a significant time for preparation because they have their end same examinations. And that means they would have got bad percentiles, but they are not inherently bad. Their preparation has been bad. And for such kind of people, if you're not very happy, I think you can always give a second try. And there is a third category of people who are basically very good. Their mock scores have been pretty decent. Their ability to solve these types of question papers have been very good. But on that day of the exam, the day of the exam is 2 hours, ma'am. Something would have happened.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean, let's look at what happened in the cricket, for example, the other day. I mean, India was all out for 150 in the first Perth test. Australia was all out for 104. But the second innings, India made 480 odd scores. Or this guy, the latest sensation, Yashasvi Jaiswal, was out on 0 on first day and then made a 161 in the second innings. I'm giving you examples because these are many examples of many students over my 2-decade career who are brilliant, but on that day, they would have messed up that exam. And if you are one among them, I would say, please don't take it up. It's okay, happens to all of us at one time or the other. If luck is bad, give it all one more. Take up a job maybe. Write other exams maybe like an XAT, XLRI, XAT or other exams, but have a chance to think about writing it again.
That's wonderful advice. So now the other question that comes is like CAT performance is one part, right? There are other factors. Now, supposing I have a very, very good CAT score, but my academics was not that good. So do you think that pays a disadvantage? Because there are so many factors and every single aspect matters.
Truth of the matter is, it does affect. There is no doubt about it. If you have sinned in the past, the sins will catch up with you sooner or later. It's like the Hindu karma. I'm not saying we need to get into that. But yeah, if you have not done well, somewhere or the other, it will affect you. There is a person who has been absolutely consistent throughout his academic career, got a 90 plus percentile in 10th, 90 in 12th, 85, 90 in degree, and also a decent score in CAT, as compared to somebody who's like an average 60, 70, 80% in 10th, 60, 70 in 12th, again 55, 60 in degree, and suddenly gets a 99.5 percentile in CAT. But if one looks at the two, and if an institute or later on after 2 years when somebody like let's say an organization is looking for recruiting you, they will look at this inconsistency. They can give you a job, but they will look at inconsistency, and this person who has been consistent performer will always get a preference. First point. Having said that, just because you have sinned in the past and life has been bad doesn't mean you cannot resurrect yourself. There are enough institutes which will not look at your 10th, 12th degree. One very big institute which doesn't really spend too much of time on that, and if your CAT score is good, will give you a chance, is MDI Gurgaon, as good as any other institute. Even IIM Calcutta for that matter. Of course, they give you certain marks for 10th and 12th, but primarily if you crack your CAT score, you will have a chance there. IIM Calcutta, I'm talking about, that's my alma mater. And there are institutes like FMS Delhi, XLRI, even NMIMS, SIBM. While every one of them, one of these institutes will look at certain part of it, but the weightage they give to your CAT score or the written test score is significantly higher, and you can make it. Absolutely no problems. See, one has to understand that this is something which is what I try to counsel students all the time. If you have not done well in the past for various reasons, the reasons could be genuine, and if somebody rejects you because of your past, tell them no problems, go jump. I will find somewhere else to reach my path. Because the final goal is not an institute. Final goal is not even the first job. The final goal is to have consistent improvement in your life, to go to a position where if you had done very well in the past, you will still go there. And my 25 years of experience, I can guarantee this, that people with even 50% in BCom, 52% in BCom have done fantastically well in their careers, as long as they have the confidence in themselves and, more importantly, are now ready to put in effort and be consistent.
I also believe the MBA is just a stepping stone to wherever you go.
Exactly.
What value add to yourself with your experience, with the way you deal things, always makes a difference when you go for placements and further.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Yeah. One more equal question. I mean, this is a very common question. I don't know why children feel that, but then they do ask us. If you have a gap in your academics somewhere down the lane, does it make any impact in the admission process, in the selection process?
It doesn't. My first simple answer, it doesn't matter. However, it has no direct bearing on admission at all. However, if you have a gap of 1 year or 2 years or whatever, the question will come in an interview. What have you done? You need to be able to explain it. You need to be honest in explaining it. Even if you have not done anything, that's okay. As long as you can explain it, saying that I have not done anything, but I have done something else to make up for it types. So, the biggest important feedback that I want to give to all the students is that just because there is a gap of 1 year, 2 years, I know of people with 6 years gap and still made it. I know of a girl, ma'am. She was married at 20, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I can't say because of the marriage, but she did not do anything for 7 years. The marriage didn't do well for whatever reasons in the world. That is the reason why it's unfortunate. She wanted to do an MBA. She wrote CAT. She got into no other less institute than IIM Calcutta. 7 years gap. did not make a difference. And there are similar cases in IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore. And if it happens in ABC, it can happen in any other institution. Nobody cares.
So this how you do in your exam, how well you portray yourself. I think this is one of the important things.
That is an interview question. It's a very important interview question because they're going to ask this question. What did you do? How do you see? One of the things, maybe I'm digressing right now, but I'll just say interview is not about a question and answer. It's about how do you kind of express who you are, what you are, and how do you convince the people in front of you that this MBA is meant for me for my future types.
Yeah. So now again the CAT selection. CAT scores are used for selection and all that. But sometimes, and when you see in the admission criteria also, each section has been given some weightage.
Very true.
So do you think that matters also? Because
it matters to the top institutes. Typically, all the top IIMs, XLRI is through that, of course, or FMS, MDI Gurgaon, SPJN, all of them have a minimum cutoff for individual sections also, and an overall minimum. Till now, whatever we discussed in the very beginning was the overall minimum. Similarly, there is a bare minimum cutoff, which is it, but it will be very, very less. Now, since you have asked me this question, let me answer to you very easily. In verbal RC, there were 24 questions, 72 marks worth. 72 marks worth. I think anybody getting 20 plus marks is very safe out of 72 to get a minimum cutoff. Similarly, in the second section, which is data interpretation, logical reasoning, DILR, 22 questions were there, 66 marks, because 3 marks per question. Anybody getting around 13 marks, 12, 13 marks, 13 marks is good enough to get a minimum cutoff. And quantitative ability, which is the third section, there also about 12, 13 marks is more than sufficient to get a minimum cutoff. So look at it, 20, 12, 12 is only 34 if you add them also. So minimum cutoff is very low. Overall will be in the 60 plus or 55 plus range.
That also is because there is so much of competition to consider the exams and all. Otherwise, it is just like a qualifying thing. So, and I also think it's just not much of a selection or this thing is more of an elimination thing. Who does best gets in there.
You're right, absolutely. Yeah, this is exactly what you said. It's an elimination. So anything below that is eliminated, and the rest of them get a chance to go to the interview in that sense.
Yeah. So there are many other entrance exams. Now, if you have not done well in CAT, right, or have very, very low scores that you think, okay, I'm not going to get into any of these things. So what are the other entrance exams that you think, like we said, ZAT is there, SNAP is there, and MAT? What about the state entrance exam? Because a lot of states also conduct these, and many students go into this. So what's your insight about how students should?
Very good question. See, first and foremost, let's just quickly, those for anybody for a reference matter, we will look at it. XAT, the Xavier's admission test, which is the first Sunday of January. Then there is NMAT, there is SNAP SNAP. Then there is MyCat for an institute called MICA. They also take CAT as the base exam kind of things. There is a CMAT exam, which is also take a lot of institutes, a lot of AICT based institutes take CMAT exam, which is again a good institute. I think the exam is in February, if I'm not wrong, February 25th or something like that. So these are the national level exams. Then state level exams. The number one state level exam is Maharashtra CET, MHCET as it's called. Institutes like Jamnalal Bajaj, Sydenham, KJ Somaya, Wellinkar, and a host of other institutes take Maharashtra CET as their entrance examination. Apart from that, there is an ISET, there is a KMAT, there is a PGMAT, there is a UPM CAT, there are other things like Tamil Nadu TCAT, etc. But to be very honest with you, those institutes don't have enough good colleges under which these institutes in these exams happen. But yeah, if you are not getting into the national level institutes, I think the only way to get into is the top state institutes, I think one can look at that also. Because again, like you correctly said, it's not all of them getting into an IIM. There are people who get into other institutes also, and there are good choices available.
So any advice? One more question that I wanted to ask is about specializations. This is a very big question that comes, and a lot of people actually take traditional or think, okay, this is a new age trend, so this is the kind of. How should one choose specializations, and when do they actually need to really think about this?
So most institutes allow you to do the specialization or the choosing of the specialization after the first year MBA is over. Almost all institutes. Very few institutes like XLRI's HRM program, which you need to become a, clearly that you are taking human resources, or SPJ IMR. SPJ IMRs, they have, you need to pre-decide whether you will go for finance or marketing or operations or information technology kind of things. Or MDI, for example, has two. Apart from their main program, they also have IB, International Business, and HR. Or IIFT has International Business, for example. IIM Calcutta has what they call it data sciences, their PGDBA, business analytics. IIM Bangalore has also a separate program, not the main program. The main program is the PGP or MBA, but they have also business analytics. There are institutes like IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Lucknow, which has ABM programs, the Agri Business Management programs, or the FABM and the ABM. IIM Lucknow also has sustainability management program, for example. So apart from these that I've kind of quickly jotted down, all other institutes, all the top institutes allow you to take specialization in the second year, or rather, you choose courses to become a specialist only in the second year. How do you choose? Frankly, people choose depending on where jobs are available, or there is more money available. I know it is unpopular for me to say this, but I'm going to say this still. I think one has to choose based on one's aptitude, one's interest, and one's skill level, aptitude and skill level. So when you have your aptitude in a, let's say, an area in marketing and sales, I think you choose that area because you will excel in that area. Because finance gives you more money, going to finance would be disastrous in general. Similarly, if you are a very good operations person, supply chain person, I think you need to go that area. If you're a good production manager, production engineer, you love that area, I think you need to go into that rather than choosing finance. I'm not saying don't choose finance. I'm saying choose according to your aptitude, your skill level, that is, and also your interest. Because you have a career spanning 40 years after you graduate, or 35 years at least. I don't think you want to wake up every day in the morning and say that, oh, why am I going to this company only for money types? I think if you choose an area which you really, really are good at and interested in, I think you will enjoy and you will do very well in that area. And I think every area, every specialization has enough opportunities available.
I agree there because it's a lifetime, where you spend your career.
You choose wrong, you
last.
choose
Yes.
your life is only once. I mean, your career is gone.
So I also think when you have such doubts, you should look at what these other specializations also offer in terms of remuneration. This is where again the research matters because it's
Absolutely.
all per se. Somebody has got that job. So it's like, you got a job in Google, you got a job in Microsoft, but you may
Oh,
have
Google
nothing
also has
there.
pathetic jobs. People quit
Yes.
Google, people quit Amazon, people quit even McKinsey and Hindustan Unilever. Doesn't matter. People have to realize that it is not just the job that matters. You need to have satisfaction also. You need to grow also.
Yes.
You need to enjoy also at the end of the day.
You should want to go to that office and make it a because learning never stops. Also, every 5 years,
Absolutely.
review where you're going, what you're doing, and then plan 5 years ahead.
Correct.
That's how you go ahead. I think We mostly covered all the questions. Last question. How would you advise anyone to plan for MBA admissions? What are the tips you think that they should? And okay, before that, one more question I forgot to ask. Um, Interview group discussion. This is a major thing, and people have to prepare for it. They cannot just go walk in, right? So, what would you advise? How does somebody tackle these things so that they get? It's not always you have to go and fight in a group discussion, or but how do you prepare for these things?
So actually, this one question can be another 1 hour of discussion of what they need to do, but I'll try to make it. I'll try to make it very short and precise. I'll talk about interviews for a moment. What is that they're asking you in interview? First, you have written test is over. Your 10th, 12th degree marks are there. Your work experience is there. Everything is there. Why are they taking this why are they taking this interview? They want to know whether A, you are the same person who has done this. You are the person whom you are saying you are in terms of interest in MBA. So, how do they do that? They'll ask you 3 or 4 areas. First area is your background. How have you lived your life? So, everything about you as a person will be asked. Which school are you from? Which city are you from? Which state are you from? What are your beliefs? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? Why do you want to do an MBA? It's all about you as a person, personality-based questions. Then the second thing that is, okay, personality-based, you seem to be the right kind of thing, but do you have the aptitude? Now, first to have the aptitude, how do I know that you will do well tomorrow? I should look at your past. So they can ask you about your degree, the graduation that you have done. It could be engineering, it could be BA, BCom, BSc, MBBS, BDS, doesn't matter. So if you have done your graduation for 3, 4, 5, whatever number of years, how well have you done? It is only natural that if you are saying that I will do very well in an MBA, whatever you have done for your career till now or academics till now, you should be doing well now. So the second thing. The third thing that they will ask you is on your work experience, if you have work experience. If those of you don't have work experience, it will be very predominantly on academics. But if it is not, on work experience. If you say that you have worked for 2, 3 years and now you are coming for an MBA, what have you learned in your work? What work have you done? What roles have you got? What are the challenges you have faced? What are the learnings that you've got? And how will you apply them to your MBA? These kind of questions can come in. And the fourth area, which is very important, is MBA is business oriented. You are becoming a corporate leader more often than not. You're not becoming a politician. You're not becoming an administrator in a government job in general. You're looking at taking businesses forward, so to say. Which means to say, you need to understand what on earth is happening around the world. If Modi comes to power versus a Rahul Gandhi comes to power, how will the business change or the business outlook change? Because your decisions as a business leader will depend on that. If Israel and Iran are going to fight, or Israel Hamas are going to fight, or Russia Ukraine are going to fight, or Trump is going to become the president of the thing, how that affects India as a country, Adani as a businessman, etc., will help, because tomorrow you are going to be businessman. So they will ask a lot of it on current affairs, economic affairs, business affairs. So logically speaking, any interview will have these 4 areas. Personality questions, everything about who you are, what you are, how you are, and how you have become and what you want to become. Academics, to showcase that, look, you can do your 2-year MBA very well academically. Your work experience, to understand your reasons for doing so after doing your 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and be a managerial person as such. And the fourth is your learning or the environment that you are in. How tuned in are you to your environment? These are the 4 areas one has to do.
And a little bit about the written test that most of them also conduct, so some of them, most of the IIMs do have it. And also a group.
So it is not the written test. What they do is, again, they have a they want you to write an article on it. It's a written analysis test, writing analysis test. Again, the questions are going to be based on the fourth point that I talked about. What's happening around the world, business, environment, political, social, that kind of an area. So very clearly they are looking at, if you know this, one is that, and how do you articulate that in a 250 word, 300 word, 200 word document, coherently putting your arguments while also bringing in information, fact-based information, and deducing the right kind of inferences from that, and saying this is the kind of a conclusion for any topic as such. Writing. See, please understand that very unfortunately, thanks to Instagram and WhatsApp, people have forgotten how to write long things. I think uh, tomorrow you're going to be a business owner or a business manager or a consultant or anything else. You are supposed to write copious documents for your people to read up, and policy documents to be able to adhere to. Your ability to write on any topic in a very coherent, consistent, concise, logical manner will become very, very important. That is what is tested. And one has to prepare for it exactly same way. One is, of course, having enough knowledge, therefore reading up the newspapers, listening to maybe podcasts a little, one thing, and making actually, a practice, like you practice mocks, you need to also practice your WAT, as we call it, the written analysis test.
Yeah, and I think the group discussions are more of ensuring you're a team player, you can lead a team, not you becoming the leader right in there.
So group discussions are also a part of admissions for some of the institutes. IIMs nowadays don't do GDs, by the way. Most institutes in the top have stopped doing group discussions, but a lower level institutes do GDs still. In group discussions, once again, it is communication skills that are important. You likely correctly said you are working in a team, so team skills are important. Leadership doesn't mean commanding. Leadership about how you take the discussion forward is important. And to make all these things, content is still the king. If you don't have content, what will you speak? So typically in a group discussion, these are the four areas which one is graded on or given marks on: content, communication, leadership, and team skill.
And then last question, how do you plan for the admissions? All those factors that one need to keep in mind, and what would you advise start?
One, frankly, ma'am, people have to start immediately. Now that the CAT is over, they can write the other exams. While they are writing the other exams, they need to prepare the four buckets. If I use the word, if I can use the bucket: personal bucket, academic bucket, work experience bucket, and a general awareness, current affairs bucket. If you can convert everything into these four buckets, I think you need to start building on all these questions. There will be a set of questions that one has to be prepared for. A simple question like, tell me about yourself, is as important a question as why do you want to do an MBA, is as important a question as, let's say, a question which is asked on your academics or your work experience. Hence, I am saying that one has to prepare. There are many very ways in which one can prepare. One is, of course, joining an institute which coaches one for these kind of things, or one can prepare on their own and take the help of seniors and people, so that they can get into mock interviews. Getting actually the mock interview preparation really helps, because you don't know what it is going to be. Hence, going through a real mock like the mock cats will definitely help people.
And
That's what I would say.
also, yes, also make the list of colleges that you are going to apply to, but that's as
And
important as
yeah, that is the first thing that you need to do. You need to apply. Some of the last dates are already over, so one would have applied already. But if those who have not applied to and the last dates are still available, I think given whatever percentile that you think you will get, accordingly you go ahead and apply to them. And the application is done, you need to start preparing for your interview. The interviews will be starting from January for some of them, February, March for quite a lot of institutes. I think there's hardly 1.5 months left, and there is enough to work on. I think people have to start preparing as soon as possible.
I think we've had an insightful session. Thank you so much for all that.
Thank you.
All students, any questions that you have or queries that we did not ask, or you still may get it later on, please write down to us at info@careersys.com. We'll try and answer every one of them. Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas, for being with us today. It was
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.